How are you doing?
I'm well, man. What's good?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah. Um, right, first of all, let's just go straight into it.
Okay.
How do you actually block a calendar? Because for anyone who's listening, um, he asked me to block his calendar and I don't know how to do it. I guess I'm just too young, maybe.
Yeah, normally because I've been in sales, we didn't have Calendly a few years ago, and what we would do is just block somebody's calendar by sending them an invite. You just go in your calendar, and yeah, you send an email invite to somebody. If they click yes, then it's blocked. Well,
Alright, yeah,
yeah.
okay. I was trying to figure out how to do it. I was like, why is this so hard? It shouldn't be this hard.
I could share my screen after this, and yeah,
Alright, cool,
I'll show
yeah.
you how to do it.
You've got quite a lot going on, haven't you? From what I've seen, you've got Nawvel. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
It was supposed to be novel. I
Novel.
couldn't
Oh
find,
right. Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't get the domain name novel, Novel. So I was like, okay, might as well pull off a Google and just make up a word. But yeah, it was a bad mistake because it's confusing, right? Like you're not able to grasp it, and if people are not able to grasp it, then it doesn't do the job that it's meant to do.
Okay. How did you? Well, can you kind of explain like what that is? I guess.
Yeah. So essentially, I wanted to just start this one space for everybody to start curating resources. I realized that all of us have a bunch of information that goes in, and normally we see the content that we create. We don't really see what is it that we're consuming and endorsing. And so I wanted this one space for everybody to share the best resources they find proactively so that all of us have a more guided recommendation engine, which is based on what we enjoy, what we consume. So, yeah.
That definitely does sound like a good idea. Yeah, because you hear people say like you're the average of the five people you surround yourself with. Well, I've heard newer thing is you're the five average of the five people you like consume from, which I thought was pretty
hmm
interesting. How did you kind of start that then? I guess.
it was really hard. So I come from a non-technical background. I went to Hong Kong for my studies, and then I was there for another year when I worked with startups. And I thought, okay, if I'm working so hard for other people, I should just do that for myself. And I decided to just start something. Initially, it was a mindset of running away from the situation that I had created for myself, and so I decided to come back to India, and I was just trying to figure out what is it that I want to do now. Like, how am I going to be an entrepreneur? How will I make money? What is my startup going to be about? And I just started consuming a lot of information because I realized very quickly that I don't know anything. And yeah, so essentially, wait, what was the question again? I kind of just
Like,
went
kind of
off in a
how did you
story.
start it? Was it just
Yeah,
you, or did you have
yeah.
like
So initially, I was
friends?
just running away from, the situation I'd created for myself, and then I thought, okay, I'll start something, and yeah, I was thinking what should it be, right? And I stumbled upon Novel. I got the domain name, and then I realized, oh shit, I don't know how to code, so I have to go out and find engineers, because we can't use something like a no code for this. Of course, I could use no code platforms, but I already thought that my assumptions were right in the sense that we have Product Hunt, which is a really famous website where people find and share products, and so I thought we'd just create the resource version of that, more guided for blogs, videos, and podcasts. So yeah, I had to find engineers. I um, started betting this co-founder who was an engineer. I had met him through Y Combinator's startup school group sessions. It's just a really good resource to meet other founders essentially, and what problems are they working on. And then we decided to build this together. We realized that he has a full-time job. So I hired a couple of interns. So it was yeah, I don't know how it came to be. It just kind of came to be. It was a work in progress, and then I couldn't let go. I thought this deserves to be built, and we just figured it out.
Okay. What would,
Yeah.
so what was your role in all of this? Were you sort of just overseeing it and kind of managing it, or did you actually ever get into the actual coding and like building of it?
No, not at all. I would be present in this daily stand-up meetings we would have for just the dev team, like what is it that we're building. And for me, I was always the guy who was on the discovery side. So when you're building a product, there's two, two, two things you need to really think about: discovery and delivery. What is the problem that we want to work on, and what is the solution that we present? Normally, technical people are better suited for being part of the solution, and somebody who wants to go out and talk to users, or at least prospective users, interview them on an ongoing basis. And so, yeah, I would just go out, talk to people. I had the problem myself because I spent about $30,000 on online courses, and so I thought, um, I I don't want to spend that, and I realized that most of the genuinely good content that I found and that I would actively use was stuff that I found for free on YouTube, or some hidden resource on the internet, some hidden website, or just a blog by somebody. So I realized that, yeah. Uh, for me, I was in the discovery space. I'm talking to people. I'm trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to market this? And I'm the non-technical person, and that was my role.
Okay. So
Everything that is non-technical, non-engineering related, I figured that was my part.
so is it monetized?
It's not. We just recently, I spoke to my engineer, and we decided to wrap it up because it wasn't making money. We didn't even think about monetizing it. It was just something that kind of naturally, organically came about, and we decided to launch it on Product Hunt. It did decently well. It got number two product of the day. I started
Sick.
getting inbound investor interest from investors based out of America. So it felt really good. But I realized very quickly, just in 3 months, and I observe what other people are doing as well, right? So Andrew Kirby would also have his review newsletter where he would be sharing resources every week as well, and I noticed that he stopped doing that, and I thought to myself, like, huh, why did he stop? And I'm looking at the analytics every day, every day for 3 months, and I'm trying to understand, is there one core user action that people are doing? Are they, and what is it that they need to do? Like, when do we really know for sure that the user who's using our software has been activated? And so I figured that there's just, knowledge is quite fragmented, and people have their own ways of consuming it. And Google's trying to solve this problem. They've focused on search. We wanted to focus on manually curated discovery, but yeah, it's just too big of a problem. And I realized that um, to make anything successful, you need to have a lot of things, but one of the most important parts is the team. Is the team capable of handling the problem, like finding the solution? And I hate to admit it, but I don't think I was well suited to solve the problem of discovery. And so, yeah, I decided to wrap it up.
Okay. That's very good like self awareness, I think. Because otherwise you could have kept it going for ages. And so is that now going to just go offline? Is it, or is it going to stay how it is?
No. Yeah, a good thing about creating a product, if the code works, you people can use it, as long as it doesn't blow up and like a lot of people start using it all all of a sudden. But we'll keep it free, and it's on an AWS plan right now where I have $5,000 worth of credits. So I'll just leave it be till October next year. And at that point, I'll make the decision, like, should we add more features? Should we change direction? Or, yeah, we'll see then. But as of now, it's free. We see anywhere between 20 to 40 daily active users still. So it's
That's good.
not too bad. But it's too much energy for, like, I've been working too hard, beating up black and blue, and I can see better results in a in a non-product setting. So I'm gonna focus on that now.
Okay. Um, so that's quite interesting to me. How you didn't really have a plan to. Did you have a plan to monetize, or you just never got around to it? Because from what it sounds like, is you kind of thought this should be a thing, and then you just basically hired someone to build it, and then you built it, and you're like, oh right, we don't really have the resources or the passion to grow it. Is that right?
I wouldn't say. See, yeah, you could say that. Sure, that would be a quick version of it. But it wasn't like a thing where I wanted to just hire people and throw money at a problem. But for me, I thought that I really want to learn how to build product, how to speak to designers, how to speak to engineers, how to speak to marketers, how to get people across different domains involved towards a guided direction. And I just happened to meet really cool people, not very successful, but just people who wanted to learn and build. And I thought like, huh, maybe they're passionate, and what if we just worked on this together? They would have incentives, and I would figure out the cash flow, and I would learn how to build a product by building a product instead of doing a product management course about it, right? So I've done a lot of product management courses. I enjoy Marty Kagan's work, Teresa Torres. My mentor, who helped me a bunch, is in Switzerland, Google. So I have people that I'm connected with in the product space, but it's not enough. You need to be in the dirty, you know, yeah, you need to be in it to really feel it. And nobody was going to give me a product manager management role because I didn't have the right credentials. So I thought, yeah, might as well figure it out like this.
Well, I'm sure you've definitely done a lot from it. Um, so I guess that kind of has that now is your main focus now. I saw you post something about leads for weeks. Is that's not launched yet, is it?
Yeah, so
Can you talk about that? Or
it's ongoing. I have a lot of people that I know in the marketing space, and leads. The lead business is a super traditional business. Every business in the world wants customers. Normally, they don't, either they don't know, or they're just lazy to actively generate leads, both marketing qualified and sales qualified. And so I thought, okay, I know a lot of people like who would need something like this. I know a really good person to partner up with. He has 70K followers on Twitter, and he's a growth marketer, has launched a couple of books as well. And so I thought we could partner up on that together and figure it out. So I guess we'll figure it out.
so
But
yeah. Go
yeah,
on, go
go
on.
ahead.
So that's relatively new. What?
Yeah, yeah, it's super new. It's
Okay.
not even out. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we supply leads to a couple of people. Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing you have going on, or well, this is also relatively new, is FriendsBnB. Can you talk
Yep.
about that?
So I started that last week as well. As I started wrapping up Novel, I needed to find my next thing, right? So Novel was very curation focused, learning focused. Like, okay, you go out and you'll share a bunch of resources, but I realized that learning is a there's a spectrum, right? You can have $0 investment in your education and still learn a lot, and then you can spend $5,000 on a cohort based course or something like that, right? And so yeah, I realized that cohort cohort based learning has been around for a while now. And what if we just, instead of making it focus on learning, what if we were to keep it focused on taking action? Because you can learn all you want, but if you're not implementing, then you're not really doing anything, which is something that I really struggled with. I was learning so much, consuming, and curating, that I just completely forgot to take action in a lot of ways, right? Like I just picked up the book Essentialism, and you can go in 10, 20 different directions. I think even when we started this phone call, this meeting, podcast, sorry, you
Whatever
said,
you
yeah,
want to
you
call
have
it.
a
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So you said you have a lot of things going on, and that's not a good thing. So I realized that okay, we have to take action, and if we can find people that want to take action together, you're going to have an accountability system, and there's a higher chance that you are going to change behavior versus just finding a link online and deciding to honestly consume it and taking action on what you just consumed.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do struggle with that, me included. I mean, I'm better now, I think, but many people have like, yeah, they get into, they're trying to improve an area of their life, so they just read about it, watch videos, but it's like, yeah, like you said,
Mm.
you have to actually go forward and actually take the action. Now, what?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I wanna throw a question back at you because
sure.
yeah, I think you're super interesting, and you've started taking action really young, right? And I think that's some of the most interesting and incredible people I've met in synthesizer school are really young, like Ben, right? Benedict Santa, Arjun Kamani, and I've met a lot of other people. I don't want to talk about everyone's ages, but I just feel like there's a lot of people out there that are taking action and getting shit done and understanding that you have to start the engine a decade ago, right? Like where you are right now. And um, yeah, I think that's just really cool. So what got you to start taking more action? Because I think I've seen you around in synthesizer school, but I was away for a while, and
Yeah.
I came back and I saw you, and I'm like, whoa, this guy is just taking over. He's super active, on the leaderboard, really everywhere. So what's up with that, man? What's got you, moving like this?
Um, well, so I mean, I can go right to the start if you want. So yeah, quite a few years, like 3 years ago maybe, I was, average teenager, I guess, video games and all that
3 years
stuff.
ago is when?
So
How old were you?
like 13, 14, or maybe, yeah, 14, let's say, about that, I think. And then I think it started with like fake gurus online. I saw like
Yep.
ads or something, and I was like, "Oh, these guys are rich. This looks cool." Because I I didn't know what I wanted to be. Like everyone's like, "What job do you want to do?" I don't know. Blah 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 blah. And then I had the idea of like maybe having a business in the future and stuff. Because after that, I started getting into more like, I guess, trying to financially educate myself. So I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, 4 Hour Work Week, the classic books. And yeah, it really changed my views a lot. And then I started an Instagram page to try and like educate people, I guess my age, about what I'd learned about money because they don't teach it at school. So I thought, well, I can hopefully help people out here. So grew that for about a year to about 1,300 followers. It was a bit on and off because I had like exams and stuff, but so that was the first kind of thing. So that's currently on pause. I've not done that for a while. Then I was getting more into like fitness and other stuff while consuming stuff like Andrew Kirby, just general self
Mhm.
improvement. So now I'm focused on, I have a fitness YouTube channel, which is maybe a year old, but that's also been a bit on and off. I'm getting into it the last few months like pretty strongly because I just finished, we have things called GCSEs in the UK, if you've heard of them. So finished them, and
Mhm.
yeah, so now we're focusing on that, and then also started a podcast because I talked to my brother a lot about like these kind of topics, and I thought like they were pretty interesting conversations because I always found like when people talk about like the weather and stuff, I just found it boring. It's like, can't we talk about something like a bit like bigger? So I thought, yeah, well, I guess I'll kind of share my conversations, I guess. And I also had been
Yeah.
listening to like quite a few podcasts, so I quite liked them.
Mhm.
So I
What's
just,
your favorite one?
um, it's hard to say a favorite, but ones I listen to a lot is
Okay.
probably Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss, Lex Fridman a bit. Who else? Yeah, they're the main ones I think. But
Gotcha.
yeah, so I was,
Cool.
and then so then now here we are with this, I guess. So that's the main
Yeah.
things: podcast and fitness YouTube channel.
I love it, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you got to experiment. Everybody is really focused on finding. Like normally, creators talk about finding your niche first, and it's really hard to find your niche, especially because we are made up of a lot of things. But that is a prerequisite to succeeding, at least from what I'm understanding more and more about this online game, is that you got to find your first few true fans by finding your niche. But you seem to be doing a bunch of things, and I think in that way you're exploring yourself, but you're also exploring which audience you want to really build more. So yeah, I think especially when you're young, and I find like I'm older than you by a decade, but I'm still like in the same generation, and
yeah,
I feel just as young as you. I don't have an excuse that like, oh, I'm old or anything like that. So yeah, I feel that's a privilege. The
definitely.
sooner that we kind of open our eyes, and definitely Andrew Kirby has helped a lot with that, and a lot of these other people that are creating content and distributing it. Not necessarily, yeah, like Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss, all these guys you were talking about. Yeah, super sick.
Yeah, cool.
I, yeah.
I was gonna ask next, what is like one thing you kind of wish you started, uh, or like maybe learn a bit earlier?
Just taking more action sooner. I was fairly good in school. I kind of just breezed along and got shit done. I never really had to study. I only started studying in school when I started gambling. I started playing poker in the 10th grade, and I was playing with 40, 50-year olds, and I was making money for a year and a half. And then I then I lost a lot of money overnight.
Oh,
And I'm like, shit, okay, I got my exams, like the most important ones in this year, and I need to chill out. Like I'm not an adult yet, and I cannot sustain this. So I told my parents I was blasted. There was like death threats and police involved and all kinds of things. Uh,
jeez. Okay.
but yeah, yeah. But it was a fun time. It got me to study, and then I studied really hard. I remember I had a table. I wrote scholarship on whatever the wood. It was a weird table. So and I got a scholarship, and I went to university on a full ride. All you can, like tuition covered, living
Yeah,
expenses covered, residence covered. So I was like, okay, this is easy. I get to party, and I was partying, and I was just breezing again through the exams, and then I realized after graduating that, oh shit, like it does, theory is theory, but you've probably forgotten what you learned 2 years ago because you didn't really implement it. And I realized that I wanted to get away from finance because that's what I studied as well. But anyway, yeah, like what would have I would have just started taking more action. I would
just
say, the sooner you can get started, just get started.
in all areas or like a specific area, like on your side kind of hustles or just
Yeah, I think things build up, especially when you're in school and university. You have people around you that are rooting for you, and you should leverage that. Not everybody starts something of their own, but I think in university, especially, or if pe- I don't think you should necessarily go to university, but if you are in that situation, you should take advantage of that. And you should start things. You shouldn't just let your exams be an excuse to not do other things, or whatever you have in your life. I think just taking more action, and uh, towards a good goal, right? Like a decade worth long goal. Because if you have that compounded effect over the years, you're just, every time I speak to like Arjun, Ben, now you, I feel like I'm just like, whoa, these guys are gonna kill it because you guys have no excuse to. I think I'm going to kill it because I don't think I will have an excuse to not get shit done over a decade. So the sooner you can get started, I think you should, whatever it is, of course, like not everything is important, but you at least need to get started to realize, through process of elimination, what are the things you don't care about. that don't work, yada yada yada. So just start, yeah, like Andrew Kirby, right? Start then learn,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I hear
Yeah.
that. That is a very common thing I've from starting to speak to people on here is it's always the action. Like it's better to spend like an hour doing something than like 20 hours planning or whatever. So, do you have a 10-year plan kind of detailed out, or where do you see yourself going from here?
I don't. I know that I want to be. Yeah, it's really hard, right? Because right now I'm also going through a lot of emotions, wrapping up novel and reprioritizing, figuring out what are my goals. But I want to be extremely capable, and I think that requires me to keep building skills, stacking skills. I want to be accessible, like I want to have access, so I want to connect with people who are doing cool things, because I feel one connection, one person can change your life. I've had a lot of people that have come into my life, that have changed my life, and I just want to keep that up. So I think in 10 years, I will have a successful business, and perhaps a portfolio of businesses. Um, and I'm just, yeah, I want to do one thing right though. So I want to focus on the now, because I had all these ideas and dreams, but then I realized like I'm not, I have these goals, but I'm not taking action in line with those goals, right? And that doesn't make sense. So I want to be more focused on the now and do things that add value today. And I think by the end of a decade, I should be in a good position, wherever that may be.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. That's
What do
that.
you?
What,
I'm gonna throw that back at you as well.
oh, great. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
10 years. So what will that be? Nearly 27. Well, currently the plan is just keep pumping out the content, I guess. Got that digital leverage. But I think similar to your answer, I think, like you said, you're not necessarily sure what it's going to be, but you just know you're going to keep um, kind of following where your curiosity goes, where you think the value's going. But I mean, probably just keep building this podcast and the YouTube channel is my focus now. But and then I don't know, maybe financially free by then. But it's hard to say. We'll kind of see what happens. But anything else in 10 years? I'd say that's the main things. Really, it's just
Hmm.
like you said, just keep taking action, and I guess we'll see where we end up because as this I was thinking about this before with after reading like Atomic Habits like by James Clear, how you can't necessarily control the outcome but you can control like your input. So you people have goals like, oh, I want to have like, I don't know, 1 million subscribers in 10 years or something, where it's like you might not really be able to control that, but what you can control is I will make one video every week for 10 years and
Yeah.
see where you end up. So I think I do need to detail it out more, but I've got quite a few ideas of kind of stuff I want to do, but I wouldn't say they're the main things, which is I think, and then yeah, I guess so. Like, I guess I'm also thinking like building a website and then maybe selling some like coaching or programs in the future, but I honestly haven't thought too much about that.
Right. You're more focused on building an audience first and then figuring out how to monetize it. In
Yeah,
a way.
I think so. I think so because I feel like people who monetize too early, I sometimes feel it kind of kills it off if like you're not that large yet and it just feels like a sales pitch every video.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I'm gonna well keep also on the side of that. Just I guess keep consuming from. I'll keep reading books. Keep. I mean, the main people who I guess I've consuming from now is people like Andrew Kirby, Nawvel, and I guess. But I feel like a lot of it is once you've got the principles. I think it's just taking action, like you said.
Mhm.
But I think the leverage thing from Nawvel really was quite a game changer for me, because there are people who work incredibly hard at like whatever they do, but if they have no leverage, like they're not really going to get anywhere. So that's why I'm focused on these digital, um, what do you call it? Digital channels right now, because yeah, I guess the one big push from the algorithm, and then you might be completely change the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
Cool.
anything else? Any other things to ask about
I think it's definitely hard to have a very fixed goal, but you have a general idea, just like I have a general idea where, which is what direction we are heading towards. So I think that's good. I think because I also don't know how to answer this question really confidently and with absolute intention. Um, so yeah, I think both of us have an idea, which is a good start. But yeah, um, I think things can really change when you're so absolutely certain that this is the one problem that I really want to focus on. I don't know how it will evolve for me, but I'm sure that like both of us are going to be open to reprioritize or
that? Be flexible. Yeah.
adjust course. Yeah, be flexible because the I always find these questions really hard, because it requires you to have a lot of insight and thought about the future. And I don't know if I'm capable enough right now to decide and really know, like, okay, this is how it's going to be so much into in the future. But I think it's a good north star or just a general compass to help
Yeah.
take action and go towards a certain
It's reminding
goal.
me of I think it's from Steve Jobs. It's like be focused, like what's it? Be stubborn on the goal, but like flexible on like how you get there. So
Yeah,
we kind of have like a target, but we're open to different routes of how we get there.
yeah, I like that. Very similar to like this other product manager that said, I think it's dream in years, plan in months, and execute daily, something like that. I could be wrong, but
Yeah,
uh,
sounds good.
yeah.
How was your time in Hong Kong?
Bro, Hong Kong is sick.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of terrible things happen as well, but Hong Kong is a sick place. You've got nature, you've got islands, you've got the metropolitan sort of sky rise, high, tall buildings, and you can get from one spot in Hong Kong to another in just an hour and a half. So traffic is not really an issue. Um, it's sick. I met so many amazing people in Hong Kong. I barely would speak English before I got there, and that's why I have a weird accent because I would speak to English, to people in English, and they would be from everywhere, right? Like yeah, so it was a really good place. Met amazing people. I would love to go there again. I'm a little, uh, I spend money consciously now. So but I would love to go back.
The
Yeah,
partying days are over, and the
it
gambling.
is. Yeah, I mean, I can still get it. I can still party. I'm somebody who gets really involved and obsessive almost. Like if there's something, and if I feel the energy, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. Because why not? And that way, I've seen really cool sides of people and the world when you just get involved. It's also heartbreaking in a lot of ways, not like in a romantic sense, but you when you put a lot of energy towards something, and then suddenly you're like, okay, this person is not having that sustained energy towards that thing, but you seem to have it. So yeah, I wait, what were we on about?
Just how did you find Hong Kong? You can go anywhere you want with it.
Yeah, Yeah, Hong Kong was sick. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, the Hong Kong salesperson. Were you?
You're in England, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Where in the UK?
like southeast, so like
Okay.
below London, basically.
Okay. Cool. All right. I'm bad with geography, but I know London. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just near London. We'll go with that. So
Yeah.
you were in. Were you there for university? Am I getting? Was that correct?
I went there for university. That was my first time really being outside of home. I was born and raised in Delhi, India, and I went there for university. It was 4 years. I did quantitative finance and risk management, and I worked for a year as well. And at the same time, I was teaching English to like primary school kids there, and I had a research assistant job. Normally, that would go to a PhD person, but I was the teaching assistant for the first year director of learning and teaching, and that opened up doors. So yeah, it was a good learning experience. Hong Kong has just been it feels like a lifetime ago. I haven't spoken about Hong Kong in a while, but I would love to go back, and it like I would meet so many people on like who would come there on exchange from New York and LA, or just UK, Europe, places
Yeah.
in Europe. So um, they would say that Hong Kong is pretty lit compared to all these other places. Yeah, in terms of money as well. Like all my boys right now are millionaires. Like my roommates and just like so many people I know now are Hong Kong millionaires, and it pays well. Taxes are nothing. Like they pay 12 to 18% depending on their income levels, um, and it's just like the country, like they really do government well. I don't want to get into the government thing, but
Oh,
they
yeah.
really do transportation well, and like it's good to get around. I remember I lost my wallet, and I got a call from the police that, hey, somebody gave your wallet to this metro MTR station, and go and collect it, and yeah, all the money was in there, documents were in there.
That's
But I've also
incredible.
had,
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
think that would
But
happen in London.
yeah, but I've also got like drugged, and had my I had my watch taken, stolen,
Oh wow.
and it was like the only one. I don't ask my father for a lot. It was the only thing I'd really asked him for. He'd got this watch. It was, you know, just catching dust in the closet. So I was like, I should wear it. And he's like, you're not ready. I'm like, okay, it makes sense. And so I finally did enough things in my life to get it, because it was his watch, right? It was given to him
His
by
watch, mate. Yeah.
the president of Russia in 96 or
Wow.
8, something like that. And um, so I was like, it was a sick watch, and I lost it the first time I wore it. I came back at 9 a.m. in the morning at home, in the on the ninth floor in my Hong Kong apartment, and my roommate opens the door, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, why is the taxi driver with you? And then he paid off the taxi driver, and then he's like, where? Like, of course you don't have your wallet, otherwise the taxi driver wouldn't have come up. But where the fuck is your watch? I'm like, oh man, like, where is my watch? And then I look back, and he tells me that I have a perfect clean cut in my back trouser pocket area, and so somebody had done a really clean cut to get my wallet out as well. So I don't remember any of this. I don't remember anything, but I was functioning well. I was moving around. Um, but yeah, like I guess, yeah, that's Hong Kong. But that's a lot of places. You can
Yeah.
make amazing memories. You can make really terrible ones. Um, so it's what you make it.
Wait, you were just. Did you say you got drugged, or you were just walking along and then?
So I was pretty sure I was not gonna drink that night, because it was my friend's birthday. She is really cool, but I was like, okay, I have to go, but I'm not gonna party. I've partied enough, so I'm like, I'll go there. I'll have a couple drinks, and I'll show off some swag, and uh, and I'll come home. And yeah, my boys and I, and just like my friends, we decided that we're gonna come home, we're gonna do this or that, and but they just didn't see me. Like after an hour, I was gone, and nobody could find me. Nobody, and like this would happen a lot in Hong Kong, where we're calling each other, but we're kind of just found our new people or places to party because Hong Kong's wild, and I used to be really wild. I would just do things, go wherever people are going, and whatever new friends are going. So people thought like, it is what it is. And somebody even told me the next day, because I wanted to recollect memory and just to figure out like where are the CCTV cameras, like what kind of information can we get. I started talking to people like, do you remember seeing me that night anywhere? And this Russian friend of mine, she said, yeah, I saw you walking up the stairs and you were with a lot of other people, like three or four other people, and I called out your name and you saw me and you kind of kept walking. And um and I was like, what? Like, I don't remember any of this,
That
right? so
wow.
so I'm pretty sure I was drugged, because I used to drink a lot. I could, I've got that Ukrainian, I'm half Ukrainian, so I've got that, that blood, I guess.
Strength against it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I could drink, but I'd only had two whiskeys, right? And two whiskeys is nothing. So for me, at least at that point, I can get drunk now because I've been, I stopped drinking like a few months, 3 months ago, and I'm just like, I'll have a couple beers here and there, and maybe a glass of whiskey, but yeah, I think I was drugged. I'm not sure. I cannot claim it. I didn't go to the hospital to like get my blood tests and all of that done, but nothing can explain it. Like I'm pretty sure I was drugged.
That must have been like terrifying, right?
It was not as terrifying because I came home safe, and what was terrifying was just the conversation I was going to have with my father, because this is something I wanted for years, and I was not prepared for it. I was not ready, and I asked him for it, and like I thought I deserved it. That's why he gave it to me, but to lose it, like that's undeserving almost, like instantly. So I'm like, wow, okay, like, and that's why I don't wear anything anymore. Like I've stopped wearing any kind of anything for the last few years. I don't want that heat. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So did all your like friends, did they stay in Hong Kong? These millionaire guys, or
Yeah, I mean they're not like millionaire guys, but like they just earn good enough now because they stayed back in Hong Kong. A lot of them are in Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley,
yeah,
like all the banks, and a lot of them are in engineering. So they were smart people. I always knew that. That's why, like now that's not why I was friends with them, but yeah, they were smart people, right? Like, and so just in a few years, 3 4 years, they start getting more salaries, and Hong Kong pays well to deserving engineer, as does any part of the world. So Hong Kong millionaire is probably like US $120,000, $150,000,
okay, yeah,
something like that. So yeah, for context, right?
yeah,
Because they're
yeah,
not like millionaires. Like, yeah, a lot of them are making bank. I just met my boy who made $250,000 last year, and yeah, it's just, so they're making bank. Yeah.
nice. So why did you decide to come back to India?
I just like I don't know what's my problem, man. I gotta, yeah, I don't know. I at that point I had a girlfriend as well. It seemed like a bit of a toxic relationship, or at least it was getting toxic, and I shouldn't say that. Oh fuck.
We
Um,
can cut it out.
yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, like, so yeah, I was not in the right headspace. I was like, I found working so hard. I should be working hard on myself. I'd also done LSD that year, and so I was
Okay.
like thinking about things, just decisions in life, like where am I heading towards. So I was like, Hong Kong's a good place for banking and for real estate, and but I don't do either. So like, should I be here? It doesn't make sense. And I cannot build product from Hong Kong because it's expensive, right? Like you can't hire engineers out there, and it's a different thing coming back to India and figuring it out here. But Hong Kong's really expensive to be experimenting and living a synthesizer life or living a
Yeah.
curiosity driven life. So yeah, so I had to come back, and it was just like a whole bunch of reasons. But at a point, I was like, I'm going back, and I'll still have my visa, I still have access, so I'll see, maybe I'll come back. But then I decided not to come back because, of course, my goals kept evolving towards building product and things that really where it was not necessary for me to be in Hong Kong. So yeah.
You right to keep going, or I'm just looking at the time?
It is what it is, man. We can talk. I love talking. I feel weird because normally I would like you to talk more as well, but I don't know what's the format. Like before this call, in fact, I did watch some of yours and Sam's.
Yeah.
Wait, Sam, is it?
Sam?
No,
Yeah.
Cotton Sam? Cotton Sam?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And Corey's podcast. So I was like, okay, these guys are just chilling. So I thought like we would just chill as well. But it seems like you're asking all the questions, and I want to get to know more of you, about what you do. But I feel like I've also got to know about you in these two previous podcasts a little bit. But yeah, we can talk. We can keep
You
it
can ask
going.
me. I don't mind. I think maybe I need to make this a bit more clear because everyone,
Mhm.
like, I think pretty sure everyone so far has been like, "Can I ask you stuff?" It's like, yeah, of course you can. This isn't. It's not like it's not supposed to just be me asking you. But
For sure.
I don't know. I just yeah.
What is the one most important thing right now for you?
The one most important thing,
Yeah.
that like I'm working on, or just
Yeah, sure.
um, I'd say my YouTube channel. Um,
Okay.
the latest video is doing pretty well. I got like 200 subscribers right now, but the latest video got like 5,000 views, so that's pretty good.
Oh, let's
Um,
get it.
uh, yeah, and I guess, well, yeah, I'm focusing on that, and I think kind of the reason is, well, I like it, uh, and I think I can like help people with it as well. I was talking to, was it Sam or Corey, one of the two, how like I feel like doing something like this where you actually have an impact is I feel like it's nicer than just like I mean you can make money like investing in stocks and stuff like that, but I feel like with the kind of synthesizer kind of method you're like you benefit and you also help other people, which I think is really nice.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, like I was talking about the digital leverage earlier, it's like
Yeah.
you can get massive reach, and
Hmm. Is there a certain operating system of yours? Because you have a bunch of channels, right?
mhm.
And so how frequently are you distributing across these channels? And what is your system? Like how do you do it? Like does normally, like I think, Dan Cole talks about how you can make one newsletter into like a bunch of other repurposed content or things like that. So are you doing something like that, or are you just having a completely different approach with all of these channels? What's up with that?
Kind of experimenting with it right now, but um, so yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know Gary Vee also talks about it quite a lot. So mainly now it's about like a longer video on the YouTube channel, like every 2 weeks or so, maybe 1 to 2 weeks. So that will be like higher quality, more like research and like editing. And then what I'm currently planning on is any videos that seem to do quite well, I'll then maybe I'm starting to chop some of them up into like shorts. So like some
Hmm.
of the I guess key takeaways or whatever. And then the same with this podcast, I'm trying to do like at least one a week. Um, and then I'm gonna start going through and getting some more clips because I've done a few so far, like shorts, because then that can kind of I guess drive people to it because the shorts
Yeah.
I think you probably know right now shorts are more like likely to sort of go viral or like reach more people because they're shorter. Um, so yeah,
Hmm.
that's kind of the plan right now is kind of once a week podcast video every like 1 to 2 weeks and then chop up
Gotcha.
smaller bits and then from the best performing ones and then that's for more kind of reach rather than, I guess, community building and less information. It's like quicker.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool.
Have you ever have you thought about like creating any content, or are you more on the business side?
Look, Ben really got me to start creating, and he's been quite an inspiration. So I've done a bunch of community building and content creation related experiments. I have a Twitter, have I have a few Twitters, different personas. I have a YouTube uh, where I got somebody to post short form content first, and then I created 6 long form videos, and it's been just stale. I think at 180 subscribers, it's been stale for like 3 months. I haven't uploaded anything. So I've tried all of these things. I've tried. LinkedIn is my best performing one right now. So I do want to keep focusing on that because it's a good place where you find people who are willing to give you money versus just being a fan. So
Yeah,
um,
I've been
Twitter and yeah,
I've been looking to maybe get into LinkedIn a bit more, especially as I'm getting, well, I'm like 17 next week, so as I get older, I guess it's kind of more of a professional thing, isn't it? Um,
you could. I think the sooner you get started, I think it's the better it is, right? And LinkedIn doesn't necessarily have to be where you create content, but just use Twitter or LinkedIn as just networking platforms because it's so easy to get into people's DMs and just send people a connection request, things of that nature. So yeah, I think when you're reaching out to people, you have kind of like a campaign scenario, right? Maybe you follow them first, maybe you connect with them, or you engage with their posts first, and depending on how unreachable they are.
yeah,
So I think it's just a game, but I think LinkedIn's really cool in that way. So I'm focusing more on these places where I'm getting more immediate results, and I'm also trying these other experiments because it's just nice for me to learn. Like I have a WhatsApp group of 260 plus founders. They have all built and launched a product on Product Hunt. I have a Discord community of 300 plus people where I used to do events. And that was only for 2 months, but we got 350 people to join the Discord channel. They would join these events that we would host. Um, so I have all these like micro communities scattered, and it's a good learning experience. But now I'm trying to focus, so I'm probably going to keep my head down and focus on LinkedIn and maybe Twitter. I'm using the Twitter a lot, but I use it more for networking versus just content creation. So yeah, it's it's LinkedIn and Twitter for me,
that
but
yeah,
I don't plan on maybe YouTube as well. I guess we'll see. I'm thinking about a podcast because I like long form discussions
yeah,
because you can really get insight and ideas about who both people are, and yeah,
yeah.
so maybe that.
I like the depth of podcasts because a lot of stuff is quite short these days, and like to really get to know people like kind of deeper instead of just lots of smaller things. That makes
Yeah.
sense, I think, for what you're saying because you're more in like the building businesses and stuff. So I feel like you probably do want to be focusing your attention more on like LinkedIn and Twitter, and I guess, well, yeah, I can see why. Did you enjoy like making the YouTube videos, or was it not? You kind of felt you kind of should do it, or
I did it only because of Ben, man. Ben's really effective,
that's probably that's probably the reason you found it a bit stale though. Probably. Do you think?
I, I don't like looking at myself, so I'll do it. I'll record a video, and it was really raw, and that's why probably it wasn't doing great either. But of course, it takes time on YouTube as well, and well, some things can go viral if you're a natural, but I'm not a natural, and yeah, I feel like I would just time box myself, like, okay, today for these 3 hours, I have to do it, and I'll just kind of do it, and then I'm done. And then I gave it to Ben. He edited the video, and we published the video, right? So yeah, it was good, but it felt like a task, right? And it is a task. It is not easy to create content, especially when you're not naturally wise, and like you want to be sure that, for me, like I launched Novel, right? And it was a place for content curation, not necessarily creation, because I thought like there's enough people out there that are providing enough value, so why the hell should I create content? But then I was like, but if I'm going to find people who are going to curate content, and they're normally people who are already creating content, so might as well like create content as a way to get connected with them, because now you have a good, like things to talk about, right? You can relate more with them. You have more empathy in the way that they think and why they do what they do. So yeah, I think YouTube is good. I think I'll probably do it at some point, but I need to be really focused with my time. It does take time. And if I'm not editing my videos, I have to spend money on getting them edited. So it's all a numbers game, and it needs to make sense, right? So yeah.
That's interesting to me. It seems
But
like
I like.
go on. Yeah.
Sorry.
What do you like?
Yeah, but I do like that I've got started with all these content creation channels, just to experiment and just to learn more, right? I feel I communicate better now since I started creating content. I used to be, even like, there were people who'd be like, you talk a lot, and I talk a lot. That's true. So I feel right now my communication is getting better, and yeah, I think that creating content really helps with that. So yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, what I was going to say was, I feel like there's quite a large contrast from how you're talking about Novel at the beginning, how you almost started that out of passion, like you're like, this needs to exist. You weren't too focused on like the monetary side, and then with the YouTube, it's kind of, you feel like it's a task. You kind of said you only did it because Ben was trying to get you to. So to me, that kind of looks like one you really truly wanted to do, and one you kind of maybe felt you should do, but you weren't really into it. Do you think that's a fair observation?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, Ben just wrote me an anti-procrastination sort of thing.
Okay.
So, he the what I think what the one thing he said in that, I don't want to misquote him, but let me just quickly take a look. He said, "Do you really want it?" Question mark. And he says, "I feel like content creation is not an important thing for you now, or you just don't believe that it can have enough upsides to keep doing it. If you decide that you want to do it and want it to become a priority, do this, read blog posts, blah blah." Okay, so there's more, but you get the point. So yeah, he did point it out, and I don't naturally want to. I don't like I like I don't like fame particularly. I was a child model. I
Oh,
did a bunch of photo shoots, and I was also in a couple of movies. But I
wow.
stopped in that. Just Indian movies, right? But well, I mean, yeah, I did model
Bollywood.
for Reebok, Airtel, um, and yeah. Anyway, so but I never really enjoyed it to be in front of the camera. I like to, yeah, not be in front of the camera. So I think that's like the biggest thing. um but yeah, the more and more I've started creating content, the imposter syndrome is going down. I'm building more thick skin, and I'm like, yeah, it is what it is. I'll say it, whatever. I'll say whatever I feel. If people don't like it, uh, you know they
Yeah.
can block me. Nobody's forced to consume anything.
Yeah.
So
It definitely gets
yeah.
easier.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to know was, when you were like, so you had quite a lot of these side projects going on. Like, when all this was happening, did you have like a job, or was this, were your businesses like being able to fund your? Because you sound pretty busy. If you've got like Discord group, I mean, I know you're not doing all at the same time, but WhatsApp group,
Mhm.
you had these different businesses. So
Yeah, I've had jobs. I've saved up a lot of money in my time in Hong Kong, and yeah, I was also a product partner at a design agency. So it's like there's a lot of things that have happened that have given me enough money to keep experimenting. I'm not making bank, it's not like I have a lot of money, but I have enough to make the right decisions and be like, Okay, you know what? I'll like for the last year and a half, I was spending money living in Bangalore, and I thought maybe I shouldn't do that. You're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if it's the same for you.
Am I? I can hear like some background noise. I think that might be on your end. I'm not sure. I can still hear you fine.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I've had I would say not odd jobs, but I've made money and I have clients right now as well. One service that I want to make into a repeatable one is helping people launch on Product Hunt. I did it really well. I have a good network of people that I know in who use Product Hunt. I'm admin of a WhatsApp group with 250 plus founders, so I feel like that is a natural thing I could earn good money from.
Yeah.
So I'll explore with that. But yeah, for me, it's always been like I've never had a need for anything. I've always felt really content with the access of money I have. Money is not like the biggest motivation for me. I just want to do really cool shit, but I do want wealth, right? Like I
Yeah.
do want to create wealth, and that might not happen in a way that is like, oh, I make a lot of money right now, but rather it's for me, it's whatever little money I have. Like even just to give you more perspective, um, I come from an Indian family, so my father always wanted to pay for university, right? And he didn't get to pay for university, so he in India we normally have this LIC policy that we do, like that parents do. It's like you put in some money over years, um, and like parents do that, and when it matures, you get that money back
Oh,
and
okay.
with some interest or something like that. So I recently had an LIC policy that matured when I turned 26, and I got $30,000 from it. So I was like, I've I've done really cool shit where I deserve to use that money, and I probably am in the best position to decide how to use that money. So I'll use that money in in acquiring skills in working with people, so that I get to learn a lot from different experiments, and I'll just build more context and understanding of the way that the world is. So yeah, it's just like it's not all from one place. It's just a bunch of things combined.
Would
Yeah.
you like recommend that to people? Because it's kind of reminding me of like Tim Ferriss. I don't know if you know. He talks about like mini retirements where you kind of uh, for like a few months, a year or something, you save up the money and then you go visit a different place and you can still maybe do a bit of work like online and stuff. But it's focusing on kind of spreading it through life instead of at the end. So with what you're saying, sounds kind of similar with maybe not mini retirements, but you save up money from your job and then kind of have a period where you're focusing on your businesses or anything that like you're truly passionate about. Do you think that's like a good strategy?
I think everybody has their own journey. For me, I've just always enjoyed doing a lot of things, different things, and it's really hard for me to really answer what is it that I really want to do, because if I have a feeling that if I find it and if I really go at it, like anybody else, if they find something and they really go at it, I think I'll be way better off, in terms of monetary compensation, professional networks, all of that. But I do feel like having done so many different things has provided me with a lot of context and empathy for different kind of people, and just opened me up to like new perspectives. So I like it, I've never really thought about it like mini retirements, because it's not like I'm making bank, but I do know that I want to keep making money, and the cash flow should keep coming. If there's no cash flow, you're fucked. Um, uh, right? So I don't want to be dependent on other people. Like even when I started gambling early on, that was the rationale. Like I hated asking people for money, and I also hate taking other people's money, because that's why I left finance, because I thought, hey, I do technical analysis fairly well, but there's fundamentals, there's CEO perspective, there's macroeconomics, microeconomics, there's this whole bunch of variables in investing, of course, then there's, like different philosophies, Warren Buffett style or XYZ, right? So like you can, you, but there's like the more information there is, I felt like I, I, every banker or every trader or salesperson I know, I feel like is full of shit. Not full of shit, but like I feel like they don't know, right? And I didn't want to gamble with other people's money, so I left finance. And the reason why I started building my own things as well was because I felt more comfortable experimenting with money that I earn rather than, you know, yeah. So I don't know about mini retirements, but you, as long as there's money coming in and you're learning and you're acquiring skills, I think you're gonna be fine, right? When I say you, I think I mean
Anyone.
I'm talking to myself. Yeah,
Yourself, okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Is there any like one specific skill you'd say like people should learn? Maybe like my age, or like one skill maybe you wish you learned earlier. Is there like one key thing that kind of like accelerated you a lot, or that's very perhaps transferable for whatever you're
yeah.
doing?
Writing, just
Right.
building a writing habit, just writing. I think it's a prerequisite for so many things. Even like you need to create scripts for, you could create scripts for YouTube, you could create landing pages, you could create email copy, that for cold campaigns or for selling something. You could just, writing also helps you building a second brain, which is something Tiago Forte talks a lot about. So I feel there's writing, and like, it's just, if you write, your thoughts are more connected. And I'm somebody like everybody else in this generation, I feel like we're thinking too much. And if you write things down, suddenly a lot of weight is just lifted off your shoulders. You're like, oh, okay. um, uh, yeah. So I think writing is just a really good OP skill that anybody should start. Should just do. Like, even if you're writing an email, like I've seen really shitty emails that coworkers write to each other, and I'm like, you've really missed the point here. And you're just like, you're talking about all the unnecessary things, right? And people spend sometimes hours in their inbox and email, and it just sucks because like that's not the right use of your time. So writing, yeah.
So yeah, would you just to practice that? Would you recommend just literally just writing, just anything? Just it's
Yeah,
just
you
practice.
I think there's different humps, right? So I recently joined Ship 30 by Dicky Bush and Nicholas Cole, and I've met a lot of cool people through that as well. And I think the first thing is to really just get started. You have a bunch of templates and frameworks out there to get started writing, but that's more writing for social media, perhaps. So yeah, I think the first hump is to just get started, right? If you get started, then everything else kind of sorts itself out. I don't want to have a prescription laid out right now based on what I learned from this one cohort based program, Ship 30. But I think building the habit is more important, and then figuring out how to optimize where should those words really add leverage or be used. I think that's step two. So just right initially. Right now, I haven't been creating content, but I think in the last 3 weeks, I did a cold DM campaign and I reached out to 300. I've had 300 plus conversations in DMs recently. So, like in 3 weeks. And
Nice.
I was just figuring out like, how much do I say the same thing to one person as opposed to another? And like, should I take this part and I'll add something to it, or it's just like playing around. And I, it, it, it was a throwback because I haven't really done a lot of outreach at all because I was not trying to sell recently. I was trying to build product, but it was good. Like it got me warmed up, and now I want to keep writing that helps to connect with people, but also hopefully sell something to people. So I'll try that with landing pages and sales copy, actually building a useful business behind what am I trying to sell. So yeah.
What would you say like the most, I guess, important or like impactful thing you wrote was? Was it like, have you designed the websites, or could it just be like maybe an email or something like that?
I've been involved in a lot of things. I think the most impactful one was, and this was even before, but I would write the campaign copy for when we were doing marketing for the startup I was working at when I was in Hong Kong. And in 3 months, we got 140,000 registered users for our app, with a $4,500 budget in paid ads. So that was sick. That was the most impactful, I would say.
So
Yeah.
you wrote the. Sorry, what was
Yeah,
it that you actually wrote? Sorry, what's it
yeah,
called? You wrote the
like the
ad
paid ad
campaign.
copy,
Yeah.
yeah, ad
Okay.
campaign copies, and just engaging with the communities that we would build, making sure that the rating system is like, if you have an app and it sucks, which it kind of did, you want to make sure that it's even more than full, right? So you want to reach out to the people that have given you lesser ratings and ask them to, like, hey, what's the problem, or like, how can we help bump it up? So there's a lot of places where you would need words to really change behavior or affect people, or yeah. So I think that was, I was writing most of the stuff there. And I've written everything, right? So from the landing pages for Novel, where we got, I think, 5,000 unique visitors, and we have 1,200 users now. I think that's 26.7% conversion. No, wait,
Yeah, about that.
20, 23, 22, 3, 4%, whatever it is. But we haven't had a lot of unique visitors, but we've had a lot of conversion. And normally, good benchmark in the industry is 5% or more, but we're at the 20%, and we're nowhere near product market fit. So I was like, it did a fair, decent job. So writing the cold campaign, I reached out to, I think, 600 people. Maybe a bit less than 300 people responded. So that's like getting 48, 9% response rate. So it's all different things, has different impact, leads to different leverage, but it's all good. Yeah. So yeah,
All right, cool. I think maybe wrap it up here if that's all right. You seem like
let's
a
do it, man.
very cool guy. You do lots of different stuff. Where can people, I guess, find you or like support you? Is there anywhere you want to me to like link or talk about?
Y- Yeah, I think we could. I just started a school community as well, FriendsBnB. It's for productive solopreneurs, who want to do business together, who want to share banter, and so it's FriendsBnB Business and Banter. And so yeah, if they want to join that, um, maybe I'll share the link with you. You could post that in
Yeah,
the
I think I've got
description.
it. Yeah. Anywhere else,
Yeah,
or is that it really?
I think that's what I want to focus on now. So rather than like sending people everywhere, I think they could come find me there, and
Yeah.
then I think we can see from there. But yeah,
Okay. Cool.
but
Good to
thanks a
speak to
lot,
you.
man. Yeah, and you. I wish I would have. I wanted to ask you more questions, but you just kept asking me questions that I haven't received in a while, because
Okay.
normally I speak to people where, we're talking about the same things, and it's like slowly evolving, and this is more of a pod format. So you're asking me questions I haven't really thought about before, like, hey, how was Hong Kong? And just took me to a place where I haven't been in a while. And so yeah, I hope I didn't talk too much. I did, but I hope I'll get to know more of you. So I think
We can do it
we should do
again
this.
sometime if you want.
Yeah,
Or and
yeah, let's
also
do that.
in the future, just like if you want to ask me something, just cut me off. I don't mind because I know
Okay.
I do ask a lot of questions, but I think probably the reason I do that is because if people were listening to this like every week or whatever, like they get to know me pretty well. So if I'm kind of, whereas you're not always going to be on here, so I'm trying to see what your perspectives on stuff and stuff like that. All right,
Sure.
cool.
Cool.
Have a good
All
day.
right, let's wrap it up, man. Good day to you too as well.
See ya.
See ya.